Chicken Boss, Base Plant Farm. We are doing something fun today. Besides rolling around in the grass, we are going to be planting vanilla. I'm going to show you how. So after your vines are done blooming and you've had successful bean harvest or two, your vines continue to grow, but they don't bloom or produce beans from that section or that node that had flowered and produced beans in the past. They continue to grow and grow new sections of vine so they can produce new sections for beans. And as you guys already know, because you've watched my other videos, I have our vines hang like this because that hanging, the action of hanging, causes the vines to flower. And when they flower, they have beans. It's starting to rain. Nice. So what do you do with those sections of vine that have already bloomed, they've already had beans, and they continue to grow? Well, I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how we expand the farm and expand our vanilla production. Beautiful monkey pod tree with vanilla, huh? Don't worry, these things lose their leaves. It'll be all leafed out in another week or so. So here's some vine that I took down a couple days ago. And it's super healthy and super happy, and we're gonna plant it. So here's what I did. So I broke the vine up into these links, and they vary. Since we have miles of vine, get your butt out of the way, Doug. We don't get too carried away with measuring things, but these guys are about 5 feet long, 5 feet. This one's about 10 feet long. It's starting to rain again. I'm gonna show you what I do with them. Oh, and before we move on, you see this one has a live end. Actually, all three of these have live ends. When we plant these, it is unlikely they're gonna grow from the live end. Normally what the vine will do is it'll throw up a spout from one of these nodes, and that'll just die off. So we don't worry too much about live ends because they're pretty much irrelevant. So once you have your vine, you've got to decide something. What do you want to grow vanilla on? Here at the farm, we've got vanilla growing wild, right? So we've got it growing on trees mostly. Here's some I planted using this method I'm about to show you. I don't know, about 3 months ago. You can see that vine got a couple growth spurts running up this guava. We've got vanilla growing on a mix of ohia and a couple of other unidentified vines. We've got vanilla growing on palm trees. Yeah, I know there's a palm buried in there. There's a lot of vanilla, I know. Here's vanilla growing on a rambutan. Some of you guys will recognize those little fuzzy fruit. We've got vanilla growing on coffee plants. Another view of that monkey pod with the vanilla growing on it. Here's an avocado with vanilla. And there's vanilla growing on a hapu fern. Very happy. And here's a big mass of vanilla growing on a cacao tree. Oop, and here's a bean ready to be harvested. You little sneaky rascal. Come with me. Here's a blood orange tree, vanilla. So now that I showed you some trees here in Hawaii that we successfully grow on, you got to ask yourself the question, first question, where do I want to plant my vanilla? Does it meet the requirements of the plant? And those requirements generally are a place with really decent ground mulch, a tree that can support the weight of the vine, because these buggers get heavy as they grow. This is a guava tree again, with a pineapple growing out of it. Oh my gosh. Because as the vine grows, it grabs a hold of whatever tree or bush or whatever else it's growing on. So you got to have shade, you got to have strength, and you got to have decent mulch cover on the ground. Most of you farmers know. If you don't know, you should know. Everything begins with the soil. And here on the Big Island, we really don't have much soil, at least where we are. we have ground cover. There's underneath here about another foot solid lava. But in this mulch, there's all the bacteria and nutrients that the vanilla needs to grow, to thrive, be happy, and give you good beans. Okay, so you've got a tree picked out that's strong. It's got plenty of shade. Up to 80% shade is good. And this tree is strong enough to support your vines. And you've got good mulch, ground cover, and you're ready to go. Let's get started. We gotta drink some more coffee. Yummy. Alrighty, so for today's demonstration, I'm gonna pick this lovely breadfruit tree because it meets all the requirements. Shady, plenty of ground cover, and the tree is obviously sturdy. It's a beast of a breadfruit tree. So the first thing we do is pull the leaf litter away from the base of the tree, exposing as much of the underlying ground cover as we can. Once that's done, we're just going to lay our vine right in that area that we just cleared. Because here's how this works. See that little stringy thing right there? These are the roots of the vanilla. And before this plant does anything, it's going to put down roots because it needs nutrients and power and energy to grow. If it doesn't have roots, it's not going to grow. And it won't have roots unless it's in the shade and covered with leaf litter. That's going to make roots respond to the environment, grow, and give this plant the energy it needs to climb. We're going to tuck these guys in, and as much as we can, we're going to make sure the roots are close to the ground or to the tree. This one just happens to have a live end. We're not really going to do anything special with that live end because it's probably not going to want to grow from that end. This is probably going to fall off, and like I said before, it's going to grow from one of the nodes. So we're not going to get too excited about where the live end ends up. We're just going to tuck that under. And then we're going to pick up some of the leaf litter, and we are going to lightly cover the whole plant. And Boss Man's going to help. Good boy. When we're done, it looks something like that. It's okay if a little piece pokes out here and there, but what we're doing is trying to encourage that vine to put roots down and to climb. So here's a different tree that I did about 3 months ago, maybe 4. It's a guava. Same process, completely covered the vine with sticks and branches and leaves and all the debris I can find here around this guava, and there she is, popping out. See how it just came growing up out of the leaf mulch? And buried underneath there is that vine. What that big run of vine is now that we did is all roots. And having a solid and strong root system is what's going to start a solid and strong, productive and happy vine. And here's another big one that I did about the same time. And that vine's already about 8 feet in the air. So to be successful at this, you've got to try multiple vines on multiple trees or bushes or substrates, anything that'll support that weight. Not just one, but try different ones. You're going to have different types of success depending on what the plant is you're growing your vanilla on. And this last thing is probably the hardest thing that you've got to do. It's hard, but it's part of the success. So here you go. Here's a little pro tip. So after you've finished the hardest thing, here it comes. Leave it alone. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. If it gets dry, give it some water. Sure enough, the idea is to keep the leaves moist so the plant has the moisture it needs to put down roots. But don't mess with it. Don't pull the leaf litter away. Don't look at it. Think about it. You can think kind thoughts, but don't fiddle with it. That's the hardest thing. Leave it alone. And in a few months, you should have vanilla poking out of that leaf litter. Aloha.